we're gonna run through an abdominal series, always paying attention to form and technique, slowing down some of your abdominal exercise where you'll actually get more benefit from it because you're gonna be able to focus on how you're using your muscles. So you'll see us do some of that today. Ellie's gonna start on her back with some rocks. So rocks, I want just a little bit of lift of the arms and chest and the legs. So you're really low. Hips are as open as you can. So start rocking on your back. The amplitude of the rock is also very small. Very good. So we're gonna do 10 in this position. Focus on your legs. So when we do abdominal exercises, I think we forget about what the arms and legs are doing sometimes. So I'm gonna remind you about that. So really big squeeze of the legs. She's gonna roll towards me onto her side. And stay nice and open through the hips. So often when we get onto our side, we start to bring the legs forward because we feel less stable. I want you to think about reaching your heels back a little bit. The arm that's on the floor is not going to help very much. I want it just to be there for balance. And then she's going to roll onto her stomach. Again, thinking on your front rocks, what are your arms and legs doing? Can you have your arms shoulder width apart and reaching, elbows really straight? Maybe you can even do them with your wrists extended and your fingers reaching towards the ceiling. Legs are squeezing really tight and really straight, so don't bend your knees at all. And then she's gonna roll towards me to finish her side rock so you can see what she looks like from the front. Nice and open through the hips. Legs are squeezing, arm is just there for balance. This arm could even be up higher, so we want the whole body to be in one long line. And then you're gonna come on back. Okay, excellent. We're gonna work on rolling up and rolling down. For this, you might need a little bit of help with a prop, which could be a rolled up towel or a little cushion, even your pillow. Basically, as we roll up and roll down, we're trying to move one vertebrae at a time. You'll all reach some areas in the back that are a little stiffer, and it might move as a block. Let's see how Ellie does today. So arms are up nice and tall. So again, we're thinking, what are my arms doing? What are my legs doing? I'm gonna squeeze my legs together. You're gonna slowly start dropping yourself down one vertebrae at a time, or one piece of the body at a time. Keep reaching with the legs. They shouldn't be coming off of the floor. And then once she comes down, arms are gonna reach nice and long, and then she's gonna start coming up by reaching with the arms, bringing the chest up, pulling the ribs down, one vertebrae at a time to come up nice and tall. Okay, if when you're coming down, we'll show this, Ellie, you might get halfway, and then you kind of feel like the lower back is stiff and it's having a little bit of trouble, and then you might kind of drop. And then bring your arms down, and the same might happen on the way up. So the arms are reaching, and then you get here, and then you have to kind of jump yourself through. Sometimes it's helpful to put a prop there, something to give you some support through that difficult part of the roll down so that you can do it really well. You're gonna reach nice and long, legs, arms, and then reach one vertebrae at a time, comes up, pull the ribs down, finish by sitting nice and tall. Let's do 2 more times. Lowering yourself down, focus on your leg squeeze. Reach the body. Every time you're down, the body's gonna be super long. Use your breath, so use your exhale during the hard part when you're trying to get yourself back up. Last one. Okay, excellent. Great exercise to just work on control through all parts of the spine. So we're gonna turn to face you guys. We're gonna do some motions of the hip. So the hip muscles are gonna be working, but what we're doing is we're using the leg as a lever to challenge stability and core muscles that are trying to keep the lower back and the pelvis and the ribs all in a nice alignment. So Ellie's gonna lay on her back. Legs are gonna come up to the ceiling. And it'll be tempting to bring the legs closer to the chest. I want them to be at 90 degrees and the arms are nice and straight. She's gonna show you one leg at a time, circling down and around, and she's gonna do the biggest circle that she can without letting her hips or her pelvis start to twist and without moving the other leg. and then bring the legs back up together, squeeze them tight. Always come back to this position, and then she'll switch to the other side. So both legs are working, abdominals are working, ribs are pulled in towards the floor, and she's going to go through her maximum flexibility. So we're not trying to cut any corners here, trying to make this a nice smooth circle, coming down as close to the floor as you can, even touching the heel down just to check if you're getting close. And you can see that her opposite leg is staying perfectly still. Hard to see, but I can tell you her body's not twisting or moving. She's even smiling. Arms look okay. Okay, let's do one more on each side. So maybe doing 10 of these, 5 on each side would be a good start. If you wanted to make this a little more challenging at home, what you could do is put some weight in your hand. So you could hold 3 pounds in each arm and just work on maintaining that hover of the arms above the floor, so you're not just letting the arms rest down. Okay, excellent. Little rest. Next one we're going to do is both legs are going to be working together. So this is important for the gymnasts that have a lot of flexibility and also the gymnasts that have a lack of flexibility. So when we have a lot of flexibility, we have to work a lot on controlling that flexibility. When we are more stiff, we also have to challenge ourselves to improve our flexibility through our range. So we're bringing both legs up to our start position. We're going to come out as far as we can, both hips opening as much as we can through the whole range of motion. When the legs get down, you're going to squeeze them tight together and then bring them both up together. I'm going to get Ellie after this one just to switch her body so we can show you what the rest of her body looks like. So both legs are up. What I'm looking for here is that the ribs stay in, that the arms are straight, long, and low, and she doesn't lose this as she starts to add in some of this leg motion, especially as the legs get down really low. She's starting to want to arch, so she has to fight really hard to keep her back position. Show us what might happen, Ellie, if you relax through your core. So see how she started to arch and I could reach my arm right underneath her. Good, and as she fatigues, she's going to start to maybe lose some of the circle. Keep focused on working through your full range of motion. Last one like this. And then let's not give her a break. She's going to come here and we're going to switch the direction. So we're going to go down with the legs together, and now the circle has changed. We're circling out to the side, up and around. Legs squeeze, down together, keep squeezing the legs as they come down, hold your ribs in. So she's starting to speed up a little bit because she's getting tired. Keep going at that nice slow pace. There you go. So we're going slow so we can really focus on the flexibility and maximizing our hip mobility. And we come back to this position, so 90 degrees. Keep reaching with the arms. Okay, let's do 2 more times. You can exhale as the legs go down. Inhale as you're bringing the legs back up and together. Last one, exhale as the legs go down. Inhale as legs go back around and together. Excellent. Okay, hug your knees into your chest for a little bit of a break. We've got one more little series of exercises where we're going to combine some upper body motion and some lower body. Maybe let's scoot a little bit this way. Okay, come on down onto your back, and we're going to have arms overhead. And just lift the upper body up a little bit. So arms come up, you're using the abs to pull the ribs down. So this is our start position. Come up even more if you can, Ellie. And then arms back. Okay, so this is kind of where we want to be working from. Legs are nice and tall. So we're going to keep the upper body lifted and hovering. Arms are going to come down to touch the floor, and then the arms are going to come over your head. Good. You're going to breathe in with one arm motion. You're going to breathe out with the other. Make sure as the arms come overhead, they're straight, and we don't lose this position of pulling the ribs in. That's the most important part about this. Okay, arms will start to drift wide as they come overhead, so keep them nice and narrow. Okay, if you had a dowel, you could also be holding that in your hands and bring it down to touch the thighs and then bring it overhead. You could also add weights into your hands if you like. What we're going to add in is a little bit of leg motion. So as Ellie brings her arms down, she's going to lift one leg. Yeah, good. And then the leg comes, yeah, let's hold it there. So we're going to just hold that leg lift as we keep going with the arms. So let's do 5 with the right leg lift, and then we're going to switch and we're going to hold the left leg lift. And I want you to keep the leg nice and low. That's going to make this even harder. Keep the chest lifted, keep the ribs down, keep lifting up. Yep. Breathing, exhale with one arm motion, inhale with the other. And then we're going to finish with both legs lifted. So we're in our rock position. Excellent. And still working, good arms, squeeze the legs. So our whole goal is to teach control through the trunk while we do lots of arm motions. We don't want to lose anything else of our alignment below. Last one. And rest. Okay.
Obliques.
Oh, obliques. Thanks. She's so good at remembering things. So obliques are next. We're going to work again on rib position. So our obliques, what they do is they pull the ribs down and they rotate our trunk. So let's have hands behind the head. Show me obliques that would be easy and not doing much work. No, even faster. Okay, excellent. So we're going to break it down so it's a little bit slower. And we're going to work as we come up into our twist just on bringing the shoulder blade away from the floor and then bringing it back down. So we'll do just the upper body first. Legs are going to stay down and resting. So this is the work. The obliques pull the ribs down and across, shoulder blade comes off the floor, then we come back down to open up, and then we go to the other side. Okay, let's add in the leg motion. So as we come up, opposite leg comes up, we open everything down to the floor and squeeze the legs. So we're going back to, even though this is an ab exercise, what are we doing with the arms? What are we doing with the legs? Are we breathing? So exhale as you lift up and twist. Inhale as you come back down. Squeeze the legs every time. Keep going. See, as you come out of your twist every time, even let the head come down with the arms and the chest. Excellent. Let's pick up the pace for the last few. So trying to still give yourself enough time to come down, but we're just going faster. Keep pulling the ribs down and across. Squeeze the legs in between each side. So it's going to happen fast. Last one. Okay, now are we done?
Yes.
All right. Okay, Ellie and I are going to show you a series of exercises to work on glute strength and hip extension, a little different than what we did in our standing series. So first thing is finding a good hip lift position. Ellie's going to push into her heels and lift her bum up off the floor, really opening through the hips. If you have tightness through your quads and your hip flexors, what's going to naturally happen is your knees are going to want to be further apart. So I want to challenge you to bring the knees a little closer together. There's still going to be a space between, but maybe just the space of your fist. Okay, and you're going to think about squeezing so that we're teaching our inner thighs to also work. Whenever we extend our hips and squeeze our glutes, we don't want our legs to fly apart. We want to have the inner thighs integrated into that muscle pattern. So we're just holding here, pressing into the heels. I want you to reach your knees towards the opposite side of the room so we're not pushing weight towards our head. We're really trying to push weight down towards the pelvis and towards the heels. Holding here, Ellie's going to bring both arms down by her side and then bring both arms up over her head. So see if she can maintain some endurance in her hip lift position and then add in some arm motions without letting the ribs lift up as the arms come overhead. And she could add some light weights into her hand, or again be holding a dowel or a little weighted bar if she wants. Okay, and as you're starting to fatigue, you might notice the legs start to drift apart a little bit. So if you had a ball at home, you could use that and put between your legs, or you could even use the ball that you'll use to help release through your feet and just have that between your legs to remind yourself to do that squeeze as you go. Okay? Holding that for a good 30 to 45 seconds is going to be really firing up your glutes and work some endurance at the same time. Come on down to rest. Our next one, we're going to come up and hold, find the same position, and we're going to add in some leg motions. So for some of you, just lifting the heel off the floor is going to be enough challenge, so we'll show that version. We'll also show bringing the leg all the way up. So good hip lift position. She's going to push into the heel of the leg that's supporting her and start alternating heel lifts. Really trying to not move anything else in the body from her hip lift and just focus on this movement and this transfer of weight from one side to the other as she lifts the heel. Let's go a little bit slower and go for the full leg lift. So she's going to first transfer all the load onto one side, feel pressure into the heel, feel the glutes working. She brings the leg up to tabletop and then controls it coming back down. So weight shift first, leg comes to tabletop, control the way down. The way down is also important. So as the leg comes down, the lever gets heavier. She might start to drop through her pelvis. She's going to really keep the hips open and lifted. Excellent. One more on each side. So here we're working on moving with a shorter lever with the bent knee. Come on down to rest, and then we'll show you a harder version from this where we're going to be working with a long lever or a straight leg. Ready? So find your good hip lift position first. Remember, even though we're adding in some leg motions, we want to still have that sense of squeezing the legs together. Pretend that your ball's there even though you're adding in some movement. We're going to bring one leg up to the ceiling and nice and straight, toe pointed. As you exhale, you're going to lower the leg down as low as you can without dropping down out of your hip lift. And then you bring the leg back up to the ceiling. For your gymnasts, or for yourself, if you're tight through your hips and through your quads or your hip flexors, you'll probably just be able to lower the leg so it's in line with your body. Some of your more flexible gymnasts may be able to lower the leg down to touch the floor, but double check and make sure they still have a good control and alignment. And challenge. So Ellie has a little lack of flexibility in her hip extension. So at this last point of lowering down, this is really hard for her. She's working on going a little bit further without compensating and arching her back. Let's do the other side. And if you need a break between switching sides, come on down and take one. We want your performance to be your best. So if you need recovery time, better to take it. Okay, if you're tight through your hips, as you go into extension, you might also start turning the leg out. So I want you to make sure the knee and the foot are facing up towards the ceiling. Exhale as the leg comes down as close to the floor as you can without arching your back. Inhale as the leg comes back up. Keep pushing into the heel of the supporting side to get your glutes fired up. Two more. Okay, great, come on down. So let's give the endurance of the glutes a little bit of a break, and we're gonna do some movement up into our hip lift and movement back down. So we're gonna integrate movement of the whole lower back and mid back. So same setup, legs are hip width apart. You're gonna start by rolling or tipping the pelvis towards you and then peeling one vertebrae at a time off of the floor until you're up into your hip lift. You're still reaching your weight towards your feet, lengthening through the body. You're gonna pause there. Remember that squeeze of the legs, and then you're gonna lower yourself down. So ribs come down, middle back, lower back, pelvis. Let's do 3 more of those. So rolling the pelvis towards you, 1 vertebrae at a time comes up. Keep reaching, keep squeezing the legs together. Here's where you might want to put the balls back there. 2 more. If you're tight in your lower back, you might notice initiating that roll through the lower back, especially when you come down, trying to get the lower back down to the floor might be tricky for you. Okay. Great, and we've got 1 more where we're gonna use the band. So Ellie's gonna put that band around. So it's just gonna go above the knees, and you need a fairly tight band. So if your band over time is getting really stretched, what you're gonna do, can I show you? Yeah. You're gonna, sorry, I just thought of this. You're gonna take your band and you're gonna twist it so that you put 1 leg in this side, 1 leg in that side, and we've taken up some slack, so all of a sudden you have a little bit of a tighter band. Okay, Ellie's is nice and tight, so she'll be good to go with that. So band goes around the thighs. You're gonna come on up into your bridge position again. So here, the movement I want you to practice is 1 leg at a time. Commonly, we're gonna have our both legs in the band, and we're just gonna separate the knees and bring the knees back together. What's gonna be even more challenging is if you keep 1 leg still and work on opening the other leg, and then come back, other leg stays still, open, and then close. Okay, and we're still thinking about how good is my bridge or my hip lift position? Can I feel my glutes working really hard, pressing into the heel? Are my arms nice and straight? Exhale as you push out into your band. Inhale as you bring the leg back in. Exhale as the other leg goes out. Inhale back in, and as you get tired, you'll start noticing you're moving both legs. So really anchor and keep one super still, which is hard work. You're working just as hard with the still side as the moving side. Keep breathing. Exhale to push out. Inhale back in. 1 more on each side. And then come on back down. I forgot I have 1 more on my list. You're gonna go over onto your hands and knees. And we're gonna show you a super dog exercise. So here Ellie's got 1 leg underneath her. You can be toes under. Yeah, like that, perfect. So if you have some stiffness in the hip that we're working on extending, you can be propped up on your toes. It's gonna bring you a little bit higher from the floor and make it a little bit easier for you. So we'll show this version, and then I'll get Ellie to show you when she untucks the toes what happens. So she's got her pelvis nice and level. She's got this leg straight. This position is going to help her to not arch her back, so it really helps to isolate hip extension. She's going to work on some lifts, and what I want her to try is pushing down into the floor first. So she's going to push down for a count of 5, like she's trying to push her leg right through the floor, use her abs a lot, and then she's going to lift for a count of 5. And then she's going to push for a count of 5. And she's going to lift for a count of 5. And she's lifting up as much as she possibly can. For the next one, I'm going to get you to, she's going to show you what happens if she loses her form and she lifts way too high. Here, she's starting to lift the whole pelvis and twist. So she's lost the position of her body. So 5 on each side. Pushing down for 5 seconds, and then lifting for 5 seconds. Focus on the hip, focus on straightening the leg, focus on the toe point. Now if she tries to untuck her toes, what'll happen is she'll be much lower towards the floor. No, go all the way down, Ellie. Okay, now let's see what she can do. So she's gonna push into the floor for 5, and then she's gonna lift. Okay, so from this position, she's unable to lift off of the floor. So that would be an indication for you at home, if you can't, to make sure you're propped up on your toes. If you're really flexible in your hip extension, have the foot untucked and be just resting on the front of the foot. Okay, you can do that on both sides. you want to do it? Yeah. Okay, she's gonna do it. Let's keep going. So she's got herself propped up on her toes to give her some more space. What we do at the gym for gymnasts is do it off the tumble track, so that your leg is not up as high. You can have your body and your foot on the tumble track and the leg down lower, but I'm sure at your home it might be hard to find a setup for that. So here we can prop ourselves up. She's going to push down for 5. She's going to lift for 5. What Ellie started to do a little bit is shorten through the waist on this side. So I want both sides of the waist to be nice and long so the pelvis is really perfectly square and still, and she can work on this leg lift, straightening, reaching, working her toe point. And then let's just see, so we can document this, what happens when she tries to do it on this side with the toe untucked. So she's lower to the floor. She's going to push down for 5. She's already cheating. And then she's going to lift. And she's not lifting, but she's working really hard. Okay? So that might be a goal for you over time if you have to start a little bit higher to see if you can be a little bit lower and be able to lift and keep your same form. All right, good job, everyone.